Now, I have watched the 3D ending of Freddy's Dead, and I'll get into that with my review of what's actually on the discs. With dicks? Alright guys, the day is finally here. After what seemed like an eternity, wondering if this was ever going to happen. If this was ever going to be a thing. The highs, the lows, the AI art that some of us thought was possibly legit, much to the chagrin of a few YouTubers that cracked the shits that we covered it, but hey, it's all in good fun. We are finally here. The Nightmare on Elm Street 7 film collection 4K Steelbook Edition box set is finally here. Obviously, if you're in the UK, Australia, other parts of the world, it wasn't shipping out until the 27th of October. So I know there are a shitload of reviews out there already, unboxings and whatnot. But I've done so much coverage on this, and if you are a subscriber to the channel, it may be because you're a big Nightmare on Elm Street fan. You know how much this series means to me, so I also owe it to you guys to give you my full honest thoughts on this particular box set. And I have already gone through all the discs last night. By the end of it, my eyes were hanging out of my fucking head. So I'm not going to do an unboxing where I'm going to be like, oh my god, look at the packaging. Damn, just damn. No, we already know what it looks like. We knew what it was going to look like months ago. So if anything, you can see the original box that came in. Well, the shipper and the shipper that had the Warner Brothers logo on it. And then we have the Steelbook box set in all its glory. So I got this from Outrun DVD, which is based in Victoria, the state below. I do believe they're still sold out. I'm not sure if he's going to be getting any more in. So the way we're going to be doing this review is we're going to be checking out the box art. I've done a shitload of B-roll, and then also give my thoughts on viewing the discs, like the transfers, the sound quality, the special features and stuff like that. Now, please keep in mind, guys, as well, I am not an expert when it comes to reviewing 4K Blu-ray discs. So sometimes I don't know the proper terminology. I'm just coming from a standpoint of I'm a hardcore fan and have watched these films so many times. I know what looks new, what sounds new, details that I hadn't possibly seen before, which I will include as well. Even though it's taken on my phone, you can still see a lot of details. Now, I have a lot of B-roll footage as well of me watching the discs and the special features, even though there's not many special features, but we'll get to that. So yeah, let's kick things off with the box art. To see it in person, I really dig it. Now, before any of this, I wasn't really a Steelbook person. Like, I get the collecting side of it. I understand it. It's very cool. Usually, if I got a Steelbook, it's because I had no other choice but to get the Steelbook just to get the films on disc. I think the first one I ever got was the Hellraiser 1, 2, and 3 Blu-ray collection that came out here in Australia, which actually, looking back, it's a pretty damn nice looking Steelbook. But in terms of the tin case itself with the sweater, everything, I like it. It's a nice little touch, and when they revealed the artwork, I thought, thank fuck as well, they got the stripe placement right. Now, I know that sounds super nerdy, but if you're a hardcore Freddy fan, you look at mass-produced Freddy sweaters. They always get the red and green placement wrong. It's the opposite side, and it looks more like the new Nightmare sweater, and that's great, but to me, just this placement here looks beautiful. The embossed parts of the tin as well, with the burns and like parts of the sweater have ripped apart, showing parts of Freddy's burnt skin. Now, we also have this little slipcover piece here, and through the power of editing, let's take it off. Yeah. So give you a look at the back as well. You can also see like the collar of the sweater as well. Again, I love the texture as well, even though it's not like a proper texture. It looks like a woven sweater, a woven Freddy sweater, which is great, which is what I want. So also, like I said, the little burn marks and stuff like that. In terms of something that could be displayed, I think it's fucking great. And obviously trying to remove that bias of we finally have this on 4K, but even how it looks here at the front, it's a great display piece. But then even when you turn it around like this, it's a great display piece because people will be like, What the hell is that? Now we got 7 steelbooks, and what I like is that we thought they were Roman numerals, but it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with the slash through it, and then 6 and 7. Now inside is, I believe it's red EVA foam, which is a nice touch. You know, it makes for great storage, safe storage as well, because the steelbooks are indeed separated, so you're not going to worry about scratching anything. Now, when it comes to reviewing the discs and everything, I'm, for obvious reasons, going to skip a Nightmare on Elm Street 1. If you do want to see my full comprehensive review of the original Nightmare on Elm Street 4K release, I will leave the link down below in the video description, but I'm just purely using this as an example. So I love the fact that they went ahead and did the OG posters. You know, it could have been cool to see some original art done by some talented artists. You know, we've got talented artists that do stuff like Fright Rags, Scream Factory, and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, if they go back to the OG posters, which I think are some of the best posters in horror history, then I'm okay with that. I've heard a lot of discourse with the matte finish on this, and that people would have preferred a gloss coat because that way you don't really pick up the smudges. Whilst I appreciate that gloss could look good, I love a good matte finish. Not just on steelbooks, but like anything in general. I just feel like it makes details pop a lot better, especially when it comes to the beautiful colors on these posters. But I also do agree that these pieces do smudge a lot. So even in the B-roll that you guys are probably watching right now, you could probably pick up a few smudges from my grubby little fingers. And it's one of those trade-offs where I'm like, oh, okay, well, maybe now and then you just have to give it a bit of a buff with like a anti-static cloth, which, whatever, it's fine. I just feel like the matte does these posters justice, but there are going to be some people that would probably opt for a gloss as well, just so it doesn't really showcase the smudges. But I just think it's a nice touch. It's sleek to me with the matte finish as well. And on the back, we've got other photos as well with also the credits. Now, you can also get a glimpse of what these pictures are going to look like on that little cardboard slipcase. And actually, it's weird. Some of the photos that they've chosen to put on the back of the steelbooks, I don't know if I would have gone with that. Like, we've got Jesse's sister jumping rope. For the part 3 one with Jennifer's big break in TV, like Welcome to Prime Time, bitch, then yeah, I'm all for that. We've got one of the Chester Souls from part 4. I don't know. Jacob for part 5, fair enough. Alice Cooper is Freddy's dad for Freddy's Dead. Maybe not. And then Demon Freddy right at the end of Wes Craven's New Nightmare or The Entity. So I don't know. It's like a weird array of graphics that are on the back of these steelbooks. But yeah, in terms of presentation, it's fucking beautiful, man. I think this is the best that they could do in terms of having something that represents the films, the overall tone of the films, but also something that you could proudly display and not put up on a shelf kind of out of view. This is something I would love to have possibly in the background here because, you know, it's been a long road to get here. Now, the insides of the steelbooks also feature graphics, like case in point, we've got Freddy with the power glove for Freddy's Dead, which also includes the 3D glasses. Now, I have watched the 3D ending of Freddy's Dead, and I'll get into that with my review of what's actually on the discs. With dicks? With what's actually on the discs. Now, not every disc has the Blu-ray. Sometimes they double up on the Blu-ray with the Elm Street films, and it's just also a space saver. Now, when it comes to the extra special features, they're on the Wes Craven's New Nightmare disc. So I think without further ado, I'm going to get into the full comprehensive review of what's on the discs, the transfers of the film, how they sound, the special features, the menus, and I'm also going to rank how the transfers and the overall just appearance and sound of the films are. I've done my ranking already. It's a bit of an interesting one, not one that maybe you'd expect, but also keep in mind, guys, this is completely and utterly subjective. There may be certain Elm Street films that you think may look really good, and I'm like, they're not exactly on par with maybe X, Y, and Z. Keep in mind, there isn't a single one that looks absolute dog shit. I will just say that up front. It's more or less like this one just, it's the kind of run to the litter where it still looks great, but just not on par with the ones ahead of it. Now, these are numbered, and there was a bit of a mix-up initially with how many were going to be put out to the public. So mine is number 9,752 out of 15,000. I think originally we thought it was going to be like 5,000, then they bumped that up to 15,000. So it's still somewhat of a limited number, and it's crazy the turnaround with this particular piece. Like from when the artwork was revealed, and obviously there working behind the scenes, pumping these out. But it's just crazy, the quick turnaround of now they're here, even though ours, I wouldn't say were delayed, but ours started to ship out on the 27th of October. So without further ado, guys, we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of what's on the discs with the transfers, the sound quality, the special features, and the menus.
What?
Okay, so like I said, last night I pumped through these discs. My eyes were bloodshot, hanging out of my bloody head, but I got there in the end because I just wanted to get through as much as I could, as well as see the brand new special features. So I'm going to go in order. We're going to start off with The Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Like I said, if you do want to check out my review of the Elm Street 1 4K release, you can check that out down below in the video description. I've got the link there. Now let's talk about the menus for a tick. Actually, firstly, let's go back to 1999 and check out, say for example, the menu for A Nightmare on Elm Street 2 Freddy's Revenge. Now let's take a look at the menu for A Nightmare on Elm Street 2 Freddy's Revenge on 4K. Yeah, they've essentially just recycled the Blu-ray menu, so nothing special there. So Elm Street 2 looks and sounds fucking phenomenal, and I've got a few scenes with each Elm Street that I really wanted to check out and just compare the pair, because those are scenes probably that I'd watched the most, like case in point, like opening dream sequences, but also daytime sequences throughout the films, because that can really showcase the colors. They can definitely pop, whereas darker nighttime scenes can be a bit of a different story when it comes to the color grading and like converting things to 4K. What I love is, on a whole, they're utilizing the film grain with these films. Nothing really looks artificial. I think if anything, maybe a few things with Wes Craven's New Nightmare, but I'll get into that. But when it comes to Elm Street 2, the opening dream sequence with Freddy taking over the bus, fucking phenomenal. The soundtrack and the sound design, they have tinkered with. And I remember Jack Shoulder even mentioned that. There are certain things that I think have been added, extra blade sounds on Freddy's glove. So when the girls on the bus yell, "What is that?" and Robert gets up at the front of the bus, it's the littlest thing, but I noticed it straight away. When the girls say, "What is that?" it quickly cuts to Freddy and you hear, But while the girls in this version are saying that, you hear this build-up laugh of Freddy, and then he gets up. And then certain blade sounds when Freddy does "You've got the body, I've got the brain." Little things like that, hearing extra blade sounds. Even when Schneider gets slashed in the shower, they've changed the slash marks. At first it was jarring. It's like hearing Tom Hardy's Bane voice for the first time when they redubbed it. It's like you've got to sort of adjust because you're so used to certain sound effects and the timing of said sound effects, and then you've got new sound effects. You're like, oh, geez, okay, all right, this is new. But I kind of dug it. I think this is the best sounding out of the collection. But also when it comes to the color grade, the transfer, it looks fucking phenomenal, man. The daytime scenes look beautiful. The blues hit hard in this one. Like, for some reason, I don't know why, the outside scenes, daytime scenes, and you got Jesse in his shitbox car, and it's like a baby blue, but it looks beautiful for a shitbox car. Now, the shower scene where Coach Schneider's being dragged in, and there's this close-up shot of Mark Patton just watching Schneider being dragged in. The reflection and the glistening and the water droplets on Mark Patton's face, the side of his face, look absolutely pristine. That was a good point of reference to be like, damn, this is impressive. This is great. Now, when it came to the pool party scene, that was like the big grandiose thing that I wanted to check out. And right when Lisa's dad runs down before he takes the shot at Freddy, look at this here. I even took this on my phone, so it's not the greatest quality, but I've never seen how lit Robert is here before he turns around to hiss at Lisa's dad. It just details that were usually hidden in darkness. And keep in mind, I saw Freddy's Revenge on a bootleg VHS that was just so dark and dimly lit. But to see these details pop, Kevin Yeager's makeup pop as well, just how shiny, oozy, and gross Robert looks as Freddy. Moving on to Dream Warriors. Now, this may be an unpopular opinion. I think this is the weakest of the bunch, and I will do my ranking at the end. I feel like because Dream Warriors has such imaginative dream sequences, such rich color as well. At times you got so many blues, but then like in Freddy's Boiler Room at the end, there's so much red going on. I just don't think this transfer, whilst it still looks great, it just isn't on par with the rest of the collection. But with that being said, like I have the opening dream sequence where Kristen encounters a little girl and Freddy takes a swipe at her and those people are hanging. And then we cut to Kristen in the bathroom and Freddy slices her wrist. But then also we've got the daytime scenes. The daytime scenes are quite warm as well. It seems like they shot a lot of sequences as the sun was starting to go down in the afternoon, and they do look nice. And Philip's death as well. I wanted to see how those veins looked and the rotoscoping looked of Philip going through the door when he passes through, and you see the veins, even though they look a little bit hokey in, you know, the VHS, DVD and stuff like that. It looks okay. They're doing the best with what they've got. And they were doing the best with what they had at the time in 1987. Sound design, I think it's also because of my sound setup too, and it will differ for you guys as well. There were certain times where I'm like, oh my God, I'm used to hearing that sound effect, but it sounds muffled and overblown by the rest of the soundtrack. Okay, for Elm Street 4, we got the opening dream sequence with Kristen, now played by Tuesday Knight. The daytime scenes, of course. Daytime scenes look really good, especially when it came to Rick's funeral. The hello, babe. Sound like a parrot. That particular scene looked really good. It's dark, it's gloomy. They were filming on an overcast day, and then at other parts, the sun had come out, but the gloomy parts just looked, I don't know, nice, matted, and just it fit the tone of what was going on. Now, also the Freddy resurrection scene, that looked phenomenal. You know, the reverse footage of Freddy coming to life once again, his skin crawling back onto his skeleton. That looked really good in the junkyard. The beautiful matte painting as we pull away from Kincaid. This is actually number 2 for me in terms of transfer and the sound design for this one. I think it looks and sounds great. A few little extra things added in with the sound, which is fine. A bit jarring at first, because again, you're so used to certain things sounding the way they sound with, you know, VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, and I also, keep in mind, I do have my 2011 Blu-ray box set that I'm going to be comparing, and also the original 1999 box set. Now, this isn't the American one. This is the Chinese one, which works here in Australia, and this is actually my first eBay purchase back in 2003. And it's still damn good. So Elm Street 5, we also have the uncut or the theatrical version. So we get more of Dan's death and we get more of Greta's death. Now the Freddy resurrection scene, you know, we always have to compare the Freddy resurrection scene because usually they're the most visually interesting. So there's a lot going on. It was fine. It was great. There's a lot of blues, a lot of gothic navy blues going on in this film. And it's just Stephen Hopkins' tone, and that's what he went for. And it looks damn impressive, man. I like the nighttime sequences the most in part 5. Daytime sequences is okay. It has this sort of odd, muted kind of sheen with the daytime scenes in part 5. I don't know if you guys have noticed that as well. And again, it can vary on your TV. I've got a brand spanking new TV out there that I've configured to be as good as it can look with stuff like this, as far as I know anyway. But the Freddy resurrection scene, Dan's death looks incredible with the uncut version. It sounds incredible. There are a certain couple of shots where if they've taken the uncut sequences and put them in, you can tell just the littlest bit, from what I could see anyway, that the quality just wasn't on par with the theatrical version where it's been preserved for so long, and then the uncut has stayed quite raw and a bit messy for so long. And obviously they go back to the archives and find this footage and incorporate it back in, but it was just, I wouldn't say it was distracting, but you could tell, oh, that's the uncut shot there, because it feels like it's gone through the absolute ringer to get it on par with the rest of the theatrical version. But Dan's death looks incredible. Greta's death as well, seeing it in 4K glory, a little bit the same as Dan's death. You can tell where they've put those extra sequences in, those extra shots, with it being the uncut version. I just think it was great that they actually went ahead and did it, and did the uncut version of part 5. So, and also it makes me think of Christian over at Planet CHH. Like, he was over the moon with that. Now, Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. You know that I have a very big soft spot for this one, so this is the one I was the most excited to see. And the transfer did not disappoint at all. When it's nighttime, there are a lot of blues, but when it's daytime, much like part 3, there's a lot of sun going down sequences, a lot of warms, a lot of yellows, a lot of oranges in the daytime sequences, like when Carlos, Spencer, and Tracy are roaming around Springwood and they're lost and they're in this time loop, stuff like that. The daytime scenes look fucking phenomenal. So the opening dream sequence with John Doe falling out of the plane, we got Bob Shea at the ticket booth, all looks great. I think also when John Doe's wandering down the highway when he wakes up and he's got the pills and the newspaper clipping, the matte painting that they've incorporated in the back of Springwood and the industrial chimney stacks and everything look great. That can sometimes make or break a 4K transfer because you can really tell, ooh, that's old school effects, but it still holds up pretty well. I think they did a good job incorporating that old tech into the new tech with 4K, and it's not exactly noticeable. It's quite subtle. Carlos's death, Spencer's death, even though Spencer's death is a little bit hokey and very dated, I think they did a pretty good job. And there are a few rotoscoping scenes, like when Tracy floats down into the boiler room, concentration, meditation. That's what Doc always says. Yeah, it's noticeable. It's there. But I think the biggest thing that everyone is talking about is the fact that they've re-added the 3D ending to this one. And you get the 3D glasses with the Steelbook. When it came to the 3D ending, not bad. Not bad at all. Keep in mind, this is the red and green 3D, so the color is completely sapped out of the final 15 minutes of the film. And there are a few shots where you're like, that doesn't look 3D at all. But there are other shots, like when Maggie puts the glove on, I'm like, ooh, that's a good bit of depth right there. Like, it doesn't help that, like, the night before, a couple of nights ago, actually, when I watched Predator Badlands, they gave us 3D glasses to watch the new trailer for Avatar Fire and Ash, and that looks fucking phenomenal. So it's hard because your expectations are up here, and Rachel Talalay, when she was supervising this transfer, they incorporated some new 3D tech into this one. I think it looks okay, considering that the 3D wasn't great back in 91, as far as I've been told. It's okay. It's fun. It's hokey. But yeah, there are some shots where there's a lot of depth. And also when Freddy gets blown to smithereens and his head comes towards the camera and like 1, 2, 3, it didn't look bad. It's kind of fun to have. Look, I'm just glad that they added it because us purists love that shit. Now, you want to see how sharp this transfer is? Look at this particular shot here. When Robert's got his head tilted back, you can see the makeup, the blending edge of the makeup starting to lift off around his mouth. Like, I knew that was sort of there, with the Blu-ray transfer, the DVD transfer, but now it is like crisp as. Wes Craven's New Nightmare. So before talking about the 4K, Wes Craven's New Nightmare has had this kind of boring sheen to it. I don't know how else to describe it. I don't know if you guys feel the same. And when it comes to the daytime sequences, daytime shots, the 4K transfer kind of keeps with that. There's nothing really that blew my socks off. If anything, it's all the nighttime stuff, like, Miss Me when Freddy attacks Nancy in her bedroom. The blues look great there. When Freddy comes out of the bed, when Nancy's heading down to the subterranean world to fight Freddy and find Dylan, it all looks brilliant. The blues look great. Robert looks great. When Julie gets killed in the hospital and Freddy rises up, even though I wish that particular sequence was lit the way like Miss Me and Freddy coming out of the bed, just dark, blues, everything. I think that would have looked so much better. It still looks great. And that's controlled lighting. That's inside lighting. Whereas I feel the daytime sequences, they just look flat, but they're still utilizing that grain. So I'm just glad nothing looks artificial. But I think that just goes back to when I first watched Wes Craven's New Nightmare and then some, and seeing the Blu-rays, it just hasn't exactly popped in terms of color for me. Now, the extra bonus features are on the Wes Craven's New Nightmare disc. Now, let's talk about the features on all the discs. These are all carried over from the original 1999 release. So there's nothing really new there. They are comprehensive. They are informative. They're great. I'm just glad it's better than nothing. But the two extra special features we've got are Boiler Room Confessions and Freddy's Footnotes. They are not boring, but in terms of visuals, there's really not much there. And I hate saying that, but it kind of feels very lackluster and, quite frankly, fucking lazy. So they got Robert Englund, Jack Shoulder, Chuck Russell. They got the cinematographer for Wes Craven's New Nightmare. And it was more or less just stuff we'd heard before. Like Robert talking about how he drew inspiration from Nosferatu and stuff like that. And then Jack Shoulder, Chuck Russell, the DP for Wes Craven's New Nightmare, they're talking about their favorite scenes, hard scenes to shoot. But what really pissed me off is there was no B-roll footage. There was no cutaways to brand new, never before seen photos that you could have gone into the Warner Brothers archives and surely pulled from that, whilst Robert's talking about his inspiration for the character. There was none of that. And then obviously we've got a bit of a downgrade with the special features because there are so many more special features on the Blu-ray release that we don't get in this one. Like we have 2 episodes of Freddy's Nightmares on here. Was it The Life and Crimes of Freddy Krueger? Look, I didn't really care for that one, but they didn't even include that or Freddy's Nightmares. So in terms of the special features, keep in mind, I think at this point, there is nothing that we haven't heard yet in terms of anecdotes and stuff like that. And like I said videos and videos ago, I think when they did the release of the box art and I was covering that, when it came to special features, I would have loved to have seen really niche stuff. Maybe a featurette with all the makeup artists, David Miller, Kevin Yeager. Obviously, we no longer have the late, great John Carl Buechler with us, but other makeup artists like Howard Berger, who assisted with Nightmare 4, just talk about the journey of the makeup, where it started, like get into the nitty gritty, making the glove, and then the gloves that were made after part 1 and part 2. Shit like that. The costume designers, reach out to them once again. I would have loved to have seen niche stuff like that. Not this surface level stuff where it's just, we've heard that before, and it's just recycling the same old shit. There are people out there that are just like, I just want the 4Ks, like I just want to see the transfers, the films themselves. I don't really give a fuck about special features. Fair enough, but if you're subscribed to this channel, it's because you're weirdly obsessed with this stuff. Now, I've done my rankings of the transfers and how they sound. So coming in at last place, I've got Elm Street 3. Next, we've got Elm Street 5, New Nightmare, Elm Street 1, Elm Street 6, we have Elm Street 4 in number 2, and in first place, we have A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. I think on a whole, sans the special features, because it's rinse and repeat, it's the whole package, for me anyway, in terms of transfer, the way it sounds, it just looks beautiful. And keep in mind, like I said, I'm not saying Nightmare 3 is absolute dog shit quality. I just feel like it's just not on par with the other films. But on a whole, this is the best these films are ever going to look for now anyway. But if you do have the 2011 Blu-ray and also the 1999 DVD box set, hold on to them, guys. If you're jonesing to get these on 4K, then go with this one. But also you have the regular edition where you don't have to opt for the tin and for the steelbooks. Maybe down the line they might do individual releases. I think that might be a good idea because there are people out there that maybe don't want Freddy's Dead or part 5 and just want part 1, 2, and 3. Maybe they could do a part 1, 2, and 3 collection, you know, like what they did with Hellraiser here in Australia. So guys, overall, this is a very impressive collection in terms of presentation. Transfers, I'm just glad we've got these now on 4K. I think the biggest letdown are the special features, and we knew that once they announced what the special features were. Again, I had high hopes that they could have done something a lot more niche. There was a lot of potential there to get, you know, the makeup artists back, prop designers, stuff like that, and, you know, to hear the horror stories of, you know, what was a challenge to film, stuff like that. We've heard that before, been there, done that. This day and age, niche sells. And I would have loved to have seen that. Regardless, I still think this is fucking incredible. It's beautiful. It's just great to have and finally have it in my possession. Now, I also want to give a cheeky shout out to Geeks and Flix on YouTube, who does a full comprehensive breakdown of the transfers and the sound, like proper side-by-side comparisons. Please go check out his stuff. It was actually very helpful for me as well. He's up to, I believe, part 5, The Dream Child. Next one is going to be Freddy's Dead and then New Nightmare. So I'll leave a link down below if you want a visual representation of the side-by-side of the Blu-ray from 2011 and then the 4K transfers you see right here. And there you go, guys. That was a full comprehensive review of the Nightmare on Elm Street 7-disc 4K collection. Are you going to be picking this one up? And if you do, what are your overall thoughts? If you got the regular edition, just what are your thoughts on the transfers, and where do the transfers rank for you, and the sound as well? But yeah, Freddy's Revenge, absolutely incredible. I actually want to watch it again tonight, because you're trying to take notes as well for doing this video, and you're like, I just need to watch this again, just be completely immersed. Because yeah, those extra little bits on the sound design, whilst different, it works somewhat. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Love you guts, and I'll catch you in the next one.